Welcome back everybody to another tutorial video that has also been getting a lot of request and attention lately, and something that we definitely wanted to address as soon as possible. This video is around the 6 key principles and fundamentals to be able to play squad in what we believe one of the most effective and fun ways possible, not only to test your skills, but ensure those around you are being built up and everyone's just having, at the end of the day, a good time, because it is a game at the end of the day. Next 6 key fundamentals we're going to try and tick off as quick as I can without too much rambling, but most of them will sort of overlap each other in a way, but all come together at the end of the day quite quickly at the start of the game and throughout the game. So what we need to do first is we need to select our server browser and pick the best server in the Oceanic region and go straight to Big D Gaming. So you've loaded into the game now, whether you're playing this as Commander, SL, or just a regular infantry within a squad. These 5 principles and fundamentals kind of stay the same now. Some of them overlap, so I'm going to try to keep it as pinpoint precise as possible. But I do apologise if there's any rambling or any suppose overlapping for it, but it all meshes together in the end. So first one that we're going to really cover through is the big old C for communication. Now I'm going to do this whilst I'm flying around in the admin cam just to give you guys a little bit of a visual, but for example, it's always communication. Communication can be done via a few different ways. It can either be done by naming your squads as you see them. So for example, my squad could be a defense one. We open that up, pick our class, and we let everybody in. Straight away, that's one level of communication. You can tell everybody, hey, this is exactly what my squad is going to be doing. You don't always see this in games, but it's definitely one thing that when it does push through and people do say and name the squad specifically what they're doing, it does help straight away, especially if you miss that first loading stage and your squad comes in later on. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to do this one in admin cam just to give you guys a bit of a visual perspective whilst I'm gibbering on. So to lead on from that communication, I've named my squad defense. The biggest part of communication that you can have is during that loadout phase. For example, you might have a squad that says defense, attacking, fob makers. It could be a recon, which in my opinion is best only 2 to 3 people at maximum. Recons can do a wide variety of different things that I'll get into shortly. It can be things named specifically for your vehicles, so that way everyone knows what's going on. Plus, you're actually talking at the startup phase to the other squad leaders just to be able to really paint a clear picture as to where everyone's going to be. So if I was defense, I would say, hey guys, I'm going to take the first cap or the first 2 caps. Obviously labeling your arrows as to where you're going, so that way everybody can see this is what I'm going to do, this is where I'm going. And within the same breath, you may even put down fob creation and be able to go, hey, I'm moving here, I'm building a fob, and then I'll push up to the next point. Now, communication doesn't always just mean in that starting phase. Communication needs to happen right throughout the game. So for example, first point has been taken, and I'm taking, say for example, the next 2 points. It could be a little bit more, hey, no, I'm going to hit these first couple of points, everybody else push, everybody else rush. So I'll take these first points, but something might happen. Say for example, there might be a helo rush, and then a hab gets placed down, an enemy hab. They just drop one right here, and I'm under mass attack from this side, and the enemy is pushing quite hard. I need to be able to communicate to the rest of the squads, which may have pushed up here, for someone to fall back, because the enemy presence is just too hot, or we're just taking on really strong enemy force on the defense. So that's really, really important, so that way everybody knows what's going on. They've got game and battle sense as to what's around them, and just to be able to make sure that the commander knows and might be able to, I suppose, pull one squad back to be able to assist, or even that recon squad might flank to be able to try and disrupt that attack. Now that number 1 is out of the way, we're going to point number 2. Now these won't necessarily be in order, so just remember these for the general principles, like I said. So number 2 comes down to the big old T for teamwork. Now it's all well and good to be able to communicate and coordinate, but if you don't have that teamwork within there and sense of camaraderie, you'll find that lines will be broken. We'll keep this as an example for here for teamwork. Say for example, the enemy force is rushing this point, I'm sitting on Tormang, and there's an overwhelming force. I communicate, the overwhelming force is incoming, this is what's going on, I need a squad to assist. If a squad then receives but then does not use teamwork to be able to come and assist, then that can also greatly impact the game. So for example, there might be a squad sitting on Malgear, and they will move around, for example, via arrow marker. This is one example. Just because I give an example doesn't mean it's the correct thing. They may move around north side and help disrupt the enemy from multiple attacks from the sides, so that way the defending squad can try and bunker down and hold. That level of teamwork will ensure that not only do you neutralise the attacking force, but you cement the defence. Because if you are on the defence and you've got a really, or even the offence, and you've got a weak line somewhere and your team doesn't help to be able to reinforce, you find that that line will crack, and then the enemy will push you all the way back, and you may struggle to really, I suppose, regain your foothold within the game itself. Now, teamwork comes in many different forms. That's just one of the ones that you can be able to try and use, and then obviously build on that core principle to make sure that you are using teamwork. That brings to point number 3, and that's the chain of command. So the chain of command in squad hasn't always been around as much, in the sense of the commander was only a relatively new sort of installment over the last few updates, and people have gotten quite used to that, but not everybody sort of respects it. Now, I don't mean chain of command as in full armor milsim, but chain of command by listening to those that are above you, because they're the ones that I suppose have volunteered to be able to take on those roles. Chain of command can be somebody like the commander or squad leader. So if you're in a squad, listen to what your squad leader says. If you are a squad leader, listen to how the commander wants that gameplay to really, I suppose, unfold. Now, obviously, that is to a degree and with a grain of salt, because you can get some poor choices when you are either a squad leader or as the commander, and people think that that's not the right choice. And I'll cover that later when it comes down to attitude, but you always, if there is something that you believe could be done better, raise your opinion, but at the end of the day, listen to your squad leader, because you're part of their squad. If you feel that you need to be able to do something that's going to be better than what they can, make your own squad, communicate that to the other squads, use your teamwork around it, and go about it that way, instead of having a poor attitude towards that person that is in that next step of chain of command above you. Continuing on that, when it comes to the commander is essentially, in some ways, a glorified artillery observer and striker, but when played properly, the commander has a very strong role in leading how the battle should be, and many times the commander, I find, is most effective when they're actually outside of the main gameplay. What I mean by mostly that is the commander will normally either sit behind the lines of the front line, or maybe even off to the side. Sometimes what I've done is there could be a flanking hab. Say for example, helicopter comes in, puts down a flanking hab on the far west side of Malgear. The commander sits here and is able to sit on this hill here and is able to really observe what's going on in the main part of the battle on their map and through line of sight. Or the commander could be way back at the start on another hab back here, and their squad leaders are communicating to them exactly what's going on, and they can assess the battle and move troops and squads accordingly depending on what's happening. The role of commander is really, really crucial, and as well as the squad leaders listening to commander and having that teamwork together. This now leads to number 4, and that comes down to vehicle claiming. Vehicle claiming is one thing that can really change between servers, and each server has their own slight variations and rules. Well, take Big D for example. The rules around vehicle claiming is name it specifically what you're wanting to take. So a vehicle squad that names it armor is too brief and doesn't specify exactly what you're taking and how you're going to contribute to the rest of the team, and can cause some arguments and confusion later on. Easiest way is if you're going to be a Bradley squad, name your squad Bradley, or if you go for the exact specific name of it, doesn't really matter. You can always hover up here in the corner, you can say the exact names of what that Bradley is. So you can either say Bradley, or you can say it's an M2A3. First in, best dressed rules apply for most servers, especially the Big D server when it comes to that. So that way, say, I claim this first, this is my vehicle throughout the match, and people at least know that they can rely on you, and that there's not confusion or any, I suppose, attitude or toxic hiccups throughout the game, because everybody has their own individual role to play. Now, vehicle claiming also can help, like we stated first when it came to the communication. Vehicle claiming and even squad naming really does help. So you can have defense, attack, Bradley, only if you can have your recon squad. That way everybody knows who is doing what right throughout the match. This leads us now to number 5, and which is one of the most important rules when it comes to gaming, to make sure the environment is really friendly and that you're having a good time and the community stays afloat for I suppose longevity, because that's what it's all about with these player versus player MMO games. It's all about the community, the attitude, and what brings people in. At the end of the day, this is only a game, but like most of the player versus player milsims and larger platform games like these ones, obviously it brings in a lot of different characters, a lot of I suppose different perspectives on how things should be done, and that's fine. It's always good to have different perspectives. The biggest thing is remaining respectful, and not having a poor toxic attitude towards others when things do start going pear-shaped. People will make mistakes. It's bound to happen no matter what. You might be in a helicopter and you mess up the landing and crash it and kill your entire team. Some people can get really upset towards that, but you also got to put yourself in the shoes of that helicopter pilot, for example, because they might have had a glitch out. They just might have misjudged the landing. Same could be if you're attacking squad. You could be attacking squad on Logi. You're pulling up on the main, I suppose, main area. We're not going to go Tormang. We're going to go towards Lashkar because you've absolutely flogged a Logi down the main run. But then what you didn't realise is that a Russian vehicle from main has gotten a real good head start in front of you. They've intercepted you right at the corner and wiped that entire attacking squad. Some people can get a really poor attitude towards, I suppose, the driver, because they're the ones mainly obviously doing all the driving and as to what direction. Or you might get upset at the squad leader because they thought, no, we'll push hard. That's part of the gameplay. You need to be able to take risks to be able to make sure that you can have a strong, I suppose, tactical gameplay that's really going to push the skill and the talent of others. Make sure you remain respectful no matter what, and if there is a problem where somebody is being toxic or having an issue, that's what the admins are there for. Don't take it upon yourself to be able to put in an old chat and put somebody down, request an admin, explain exactly the situation, and that admin will then be able to handle it. This leads me to number 6, which I almost left out, which would have been a little bit awkward, because it is one of the biggest key fundamentals and principles to be able to abide by, and that is play the objective. Now, by play the objective, I'm going to start with the main, what is play the objective, and then some variations of that, which can cause some tensions to flare when people really just aren't playing the objective and assisting in the main battle. Playing the objective with AAS or any other mode is simple. Take the points in order in which they can be capped. If I'm defense, as per my squad is labelled, I'll take the first point, second point, maybe even third, depending on how many squads there are and exactly what people want to be able to do. That's playing the objective. You'll have other squads which will be attacking, which will push to the front lines, place down habs, and attack in the main area. Which leads on to the next point. When I mentioned habs, is normally when you're placing down hab, you place it somewhere near the front lines or the back lines, the objective. You don't place it completely left field, unless I was speaking about earlier how we place the commander module off to the side for a good point of view. That's completely different. If you're a squad, you've moved right out and you've placed a hab over here, that's not playing the objective, because this is nowhere near the main battle point. It's nowhere near the objectives. That is playing off objective. If you were to bring the hab over here, much closer to the battle where it's a smooth run, that's more playing the objective, because the hab is easy to run off and easy to get to. The other thing that on the flip side of that, if there is a hab, an enemy one for example, that is way off point, say for example it's way out here, but it's been spotted by somebody. If a full squad decides to go, hey, I'm going to take out that hab, I'm going to move right around all the way up here with a full squad of 9 in a Logi to be able to take out a hab that is nowhere near the main front battle lines, because the battle's for example here and you've got a full squad here. People have a misconception that this radio right here in hab is directly affecting here. If the full squad is attacking here, guaranteed they've got a hab somewhere more in Lashkar or even behind the front lines or your defense lines that is more impacting here. This hab here is pretty much useless to attack, and that full 9-man squad would be better off either around the defense area or the attacking area. Now, continuing on that, that doesn't mean that you can't flank. There's a difference between flanking and then just playing way off the objective for something that is completely irrelevant, such as, for example, this hab. One way that you can do a flank, for example, if you cannot get through this main river of Lashkar, then absolutely go around this edge, get behind October, and then place down a friendly hab somewhere back here. That's a poor spot, but you get my example. So that way you can then directly attack Lashkar, or going out its far western side, then placing hab somewhere a little bit more around the lines here, so it's close and relevant so that an attacking force coordinate a counter-attack, I suppose. That's where it comes down to playing the objective. And all of this ties together with communicating, teamwork, chain of command, vehicle claiming, attitude, and playing the objective. If you can get those core fundamentals and principles down, you'll have a strong game every time. Hold other people accountable, but don't do it in a toxic or poor attitude way. Bring it to the attention of the admins. Have a good time, because at the end it is just a game and we're all here to have fun. Bring up those around you and just make squad as good as possible for as long as possible, because it is one of very few games that are like this for a player versus player MMO, and we want to keep playing for years to come, or until something better comes out. So from all of us at Big D Gaming, like always, thumbs up, share it around, give us some love. We'll catch you in the next one.